Where, when, and how India and the modern world. Learning about India and the modern world. The history of a country is divided into the ancient, medieval, and modern periods. Over the last 2 years, we have studied the ancient and medieval periods of Indian history. This year, we will learn about the modern period of Indian history. Modern period is usually considered to begin with the conquest of India by the British in the 18th century, extending till India became independent in 1947. In the 16th century, Europe was on the threshold of the modern period, while India was still in the medieval period. The modern age was a period of great and sweeping changes. This period came to be associated with certain characteristic features. They are industrialization, the large-scale production of goods in an increasing number of factories or industries. Urbanization, the movement of people from villages to towns and cities in search of a better quality of life. Nationalism, patriotism, and a growing identification with one's homeland. Democracy, government by the people. Socialism, a system where the state tries to ensure equitable distribution of wealth. Scientific and technological progress and exploration. Humanism, a greater concern for human welfare, dignity, and values. The forces that brought about these changes were the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the American and the French Revolution, and nationalism. Most of these forces of change began in Europe and then spread across the world. India too was greatly influenced by these forces. The Renaissance was a movement that started in 14th century in Italy and lasted till the 17th century. Renaissance means rebirth, and the thinkers of this period sought to rediscover and revive the learning of the ancient period. It gave rise to the scientific method of inquiry, that is, learning by questioning, observation, and experimentation. It encouraged people to think for themselves and question old beliefs and superstitions. The Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was an economic revolution that started in Britain around 1750. Explorers like Vasco da Gama and Columbus had already discovered sea routes to the east and to the Americas in the 15th and 16th centuries. This led to an expansion in trade. As the demand for more products grew, the old domestic system of artisans working at home with simple tools was replaced by the factory system, where large machines now produced much more of the same products faster and at a fraction of the cost. The Industrial Revolution completely changed the way people lived. One of the most important results of the Industrial Revolution was the growth of colonialism. The factories were producing goods on a large scale. For these goods to be sold, a large market was needed. The factories also needed raw materials like raw cotton, iron, coal, etc. on large scale. This prompted Britain and other European countries to search overseas for colonies as a market for the finished goods and as a source or raw materials. The American and the French Revolutions and nationalism. The American and French Revolutions and the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity they adopted changed the lives of millions of people across the world. They inspired the people of many countries to rebel against domination and exploitation and to fight for freedom and democracy. These revolutions led to the growth of another powerful movement in 19th century Europe, nationalism. Nationalism is a strong feeling of love, pride, and loyalty that people have for their country. It inspired Indians in the late 19th century to fight for independence from British rule. India in the modern world. After Aurangzeb's death in 1707, the Mughal Empire went into a rapid decline. The later Mughal ruler did not have the capabilities needed to hold this vast empire together. Powerful new kingdoms were established by the Marathas and the Sikhs. The ruler of Hyderabad, Awadh, Karnataka, and Bengal ruled independently over their provinces. These new powers constantly fought for supremacy among themselves. This was also the time when merchants from Europe began establishing trading bases along India's coast. In the course of time, the Europeans took advantage of the rivalries among the Indian rulers and made their own bases stronger. The Europeans also fought among themselves for control over the hugely profitable trade with India. Soon, the British had established themselves as the main power in India. Within 100 years, they had moved from being mere traders to the rulers of the Indian subcontinent. Let us learn about the impact of 200 years of British rule on India. Let us learn how, after years of being exploited, the Indians gradually came together to fight for their freedom, and how India finally became a free country in 1947. Summary. The modern period of Indian history is said to begin from 1700, when the British started establishing their rule in India. The modern period is marked by advances in science, technology, and industry, and the ideas of nationalism, socialism, and democracy. That is all in the topic. Good going!